Yo, what's up, guys? Beard's looking kind of crazy. What's going on, man? All right, so I had something just very, very interesting. And coming up on the election the way that we are, I wanted to talk about it a little bit. So, um, yeah, just give me a moment here. All right, so, sorry, someone's trying to call me on Telegram right now while I'm, of course, as soon as I start going live, someone tries to call me on Telegram, right? Anyway, guys, so listen up. So, with the elections coming up, the question has to be asked: with the SEC and Gary continuing to do, what they've been doing for almost 4 years now, something like that. We got to go through a couple of articles here, and we're going to ask the question: how much damage has Gary Gensler done to the Democrats' chances of winning the election? Now, listen, we're going to try to be as neutral, politically neutral in this stream as possible, okay? Because this is an important subject, and it's not about taking sides. It's about a serious question here, right? So just bear with me. Hang on. Okay, so the first, and I'm going to get to my thoughts on it after, but first, we're going to go through a couple of these articles, and we're just to kind of show us what's been going on, okay? So we're going to start off here. Immutable fights SEC overreach, defends digital ownership for gamers. So yes, Gary Gensler has launched a lawsuit, he hasn't launched a lawsuit. Sorry, he sent a Wells notice threatening to launch a lawsuit on Immutable X, which is a Web3 gaming project, right? So the blockchain game startup Immutable is contesting the SEC's most recent Wells notice under the leadership of Chair Gary Gensler. The SEC has conducted extensive investigations into several Bitcoin companies. However, the business has been disappointed by the regulatory approach, which frequently prioritizes frequent enforcement of the above policy. Immutable is currently one of several businesses contesting SEC actions, including Coinbase, Uniswap, and OpenSea, which are all Wells notices that they sent out in the last handful of months. The SEC has expanded its purview in recent months, focusing on decentralized exchanges and NFT platforms. Concerning the agency's interpretation of securities regulations, namely its unsuccessful attempt to categorize some tokens as securities. I love how they said that. Its unsuccessful attempt has been raised by its recent court disputes. Despite heavy enforcement, the SEC has seen limited success in court, losing significant cases, such as the Ripple case, which recently concluded in a landmark victory for Ripple. Besides crypto tokens, the SEC's actions have expanded into the gaming sector, placing Immutable at the center of regulatory tensions. Immutable argues that this approach hinders innovation and creates obstacles for startups trying to bring unique solutions to gaming and other creative sectors. By enforcing ambiguous regulations, the SEC creates financial and operational hurdles for companies aiming to innovate in blockchain and the digital asset space. Immutable has been building blockchain solutions since 2018, empowering gamers with digital ownership rights. The company sees immense value in digital ownership for the gaming world, and it sees over $110 billion in annual sales of in-game assets. Immutable's CEO reaffirms the company's commitment, stating they will defend digital property rights for developers, players, and creators, even if it requires costly legal action. With a well-funded war chest for this purpose, Immutable's position highlights growing calls for regulatory clarity. The crypto industry continues to demand transparent policies to support growth without stifling innovation. As Immutable fights the SEC, they aim to set a precedent for protecting digital ownership, advocating for balanced regulations that allow for blockchain driven growth. So the SEC continues to assault these companies. Now, they've gone from launching lawsuit after lawsuit to sending a Wells notice after Wells notice, which means basically that they're threatening companies as opposed to filing these lawsuits. And it's probably because they're undermanned for this kind of endeavor. And they're probably underfunded at this point, with Congress continually talking about cutting their funding and passing legislation to prevent Gary from suing crypto companies until legislation has been passed by Congress, right? Moving on here, what else do we have? So, pre-election volatility, what it means for altcoins and reaccumulation. So now the election is what we're focusing on this stream, and the SEC. How much damage has Gary Gensler and the SEC done to the Democrats' chances of winning this election? And I would beg the question to you that if Kamala Harris loses, I'm not saying she will, I'm saying if she does, how many votes did Gary Gensler cost the Democrats? Because whether you agree with it or not, there are an immense amount of people out there who basically are voting. They're pissed off. They're crypto voters. They're pissed off because Gary Gensler and the SEC has run amok unchecked. And who has been running things? The Democrats. Okay. So they don't care about the details. All they care about is the fact that these are the people in power. This is what's been happening. Screw these guys. There's a lot of people voting out of anger for Trump against the Democrats because of what Gary Gensler is doing. So the question has to be asked again, and it's rhetorical. If she loses, how many votes did Gary Gensler and the SEC actually cost her? Did Gary Gensler cost Kamala Harris the election if she loses? Very interesting question. And will he be blamed if that is the case, right? The altcoin market has remained, to show long-term trends that investors focus on monitoring, analyzing, and the historical data of markets. It can be observed that they have cycles such as reaccumulation and then rising rapidly. About these reoccurring patterns, movements have drawn attention recently due to pre-election volatility identified in the recent period, which may point to further fluctuations as the market becomes stable. Analyzing previous altcoin markets reveals that the same cycle's particular phases repeat frequently. Analyzing the market from the middle of 2015, it became clear that the markets formed double bottoms and went to growth, having higher lows. The pattern was followed by a period of reaccumulation in 2016, consequently raising the value of the altcoin market. Similar structures were observed in the 2018-2019 timeframe, wherein similar double bottom patterns was seen to have followed through to higher lows from where the price went up. This phase involved what can be described as reaccumulation phase that took the market to another higher phase. These patterns suggest that key support levels plus accumulation phases are typically found to precede bullish progression. The recent state of the market, which is active in 2022-2023, accurately depicts previous cycles of the market. The formation of the double bottom pattern along with the higher lows lingers a message to altcoin investors that there is another potential accumulation stage. It is pointed out that the pre-election period is dirty. It's a dirty birdie. But such conditions become more stable, after which market activity returns. We find further correlations of the viewpoint in lower parts of the chart, displaying RSI behavior typical of the post-reaccumulation phase RSI behavior. The information about the RSI requires figures complement earlier cases in which each pattern set a background for altcoins appreciation. Thus, the long-term trend in the altcoin market remains unbroken, although We observe some changes in the past several weeks. It is argued that this is typically followed by other less volatile phases in the market, given the excessive covering and fluctuation. So basically, the altcoin season is right on track, on pace for what is to be an absolutely glorious, glorious time. Moving on over to Coinbase. Coinbase chief demands accountability from future SEC chair over frivolous crypto cases. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong has called for the next U.S. SEC chair to address the agency's perceived inconsistencies in its approach to digital assets. Armstrong's criticism stems from the securities regulators' shifting stance throughout the years, which has caused frustrations within the community. His tweet, which accompanied compilation of conflicting SEC statements on the issue, argued that the new chair should withdraw all frivolous cases and issue an apology to the American people. Armstrong led out several examples of the SEC's evolving position. In 2018, the SEC stated that the digital assets all by itself is not a security. However, in 2021, the regulator declared that a digital asset embodies and represents the investment contract. This is followed by three contradictory statements in 2024 alone. For instance, in February of 2024, the SEC stated a digital asset is just computer code. Then, 5 days later, it said the digital asset itself represents the investment contract. Finally, 8 months later, the SEC declared the digital asset itself is not a security. The agency has also been inconsistent in determining whether Bitcoin is considered a security. In 2023, it stated that the SEC has never claimed that Bitcoin is a security. However, in 2024, the agency asserted maybe there's not an answer. Notably, just 4 days later, it took yet another stance proclaiming that it's not a security. The Coinbase CEO's demand for an apology and withdraw of frivolous cases reflected the broader sentiment within the community, which has long accused the SEC of overreach and a lack of clarity in its regulatory approach. Armstrong believes the restoring trust in the agency is crucial, as the damage is done to the country's financial landscape cannot be undone. The comments come at a critical moment with the U.S. presidential election just around the corner. The Democrats have developed a reputation for their hostility towards cryptocurrency, as an approach that many fear could determine the U.S. dollar's status as the world's dominant global reserve asset. So essentially, the SEC has continued to cause damage since 2018 to the to the digital asset space, with over 52 million voters, 18% of the voting class in the United States, are all crypto holders. If Kamala Harris loses the election, how many voters did Gary Gensler cost her? That's the question. And again, I say, will he be blamed for it if she loses? I, for one, think that he should be blamed for it if she loses, because I guarantee you, he most certainly has cost her a lot of votes. Ripple's SEC lawsuit, key dates to watch. So again, we have another story where the SEC has drug out the Ripple case until this isn't going to end now until the end of 2026, guys. It started in 2020. 6 years for this lawsuit. That is absolutely absurd. However, I will send out another rhetorical question to you. If Gary Gensler either resigns or is kicked out of the SEC before his term is over, will whoever comes in settle this lawsuit and get it off the books? That is another question, right? Very, very possible. So with all of this happening, and this is just scratching the surface, guys, again, the question must be asked. If Kamala Harris loses, is it largely largely to blame to Gary Gensler in the SEC for costing her votes, because again, there are a lot, 52 million American voters are crypto holders, and a large majority of that are pissed off, right? Are they going to vote out of anger? We'll find out. So that's I just wanted to get that out. I wanted to talk with you guys about that and get your thoughts on it. Let me get into the chat quick, guys. Make sure you smash the like and subscribe to the channel. Holmes in the house. What's up, buddy? Gary's last day, January 20th, 2025, cannot come soon enough. I think it's is it 2025 or 2026, Holmes? Are you sure it's 2025? Paul, what's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Simon's in the house. Hope you're doing well. I have one thing to say. Gary Gensler needs to go now. 100%, man. John 3:16 says, I just smashed the like button. What's up, buddy? Crow Nation, Jasmy Army, 100%, man. Funky's in the house. Howdy, howdy. XCN, my only greenie beanie today. Yes, XCN is actually up almost 3.5% right now. It's looking kind of juicy. Speaking of XCN, guys, listen, I got to run because in about an hour, I will be live with Wes. We're doing our XCN live stream today. Wes has some very important announcements to make, some important stuff to talk about. So make sure you guys are here for that in about 1 hour's time. I will see you guys then. Like and subscribe, guys. Jump over to the Patreon, book your one-on-one coaching sessions with me. Join the group video coaching calls as well. We all chat together about all important things crypto. So get over there, links down below. I will see you guys in 1 hour.